I'm really good to see you again. Welcome back to Pop Alternative as always.
I know I'm your favorite guest. You can say it already. Gosh.
Welcome back, my favorite guest, Humberly Gonzalez.
Thank you.
I remember when this movie was announced. I remember when you were filming this movie. It's like you've done this many times now, this kind of process of like playing the waiting game and people get to see it. What's it like specifically with this one? It's special, it's exciting. What's that like with Star Trek Section 31 for you specifically, preparing yourself for people to see it?
Honestly, the reason this one is so close to my heart is because, first of all, Toronto natives. I'm from Toronto. I think one of the rite of passages for any Canadian actor who lives in the city, who has seen Pinewood Studios and the Star Trek stage, has dreamt of one day stepping into a set like that, being a part of that family. And I can attest to the closeness, the camaraderie, and the family that it does become when you are part of this franchise. It has such a huge legacy. I think Star Trek has done so many firsts in its, decades of existing that for me as a Latina, as a Toronto native, it just means a lot because it feels, I can like check it off the list, like I've done Star Trek. And it was really special, because we shot it here. We shot
Yeah.
it here in Toronto, in my city. And so for me, it was just a full circle moment in my career, for sure.
I feel like there's going to be that official kind of first day of work, but it depends where everything is, right? Where it's like, maybe that scene's not going to be crazy where you're not going to be in the hair and makeup chair that long compared to the next week. But take me through that first day where it really felt like you were immersed into the Star Trek world specifically, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yes. I remember the very first day, and it's essentially the first big group scene that you get to see in the movie. We're in the spaceship. That scene alone took 2 full days of filming. There was a lot of moving parts. We were given the freedom to improvise, and we had to explore the space so much, and they really gave us the room to do that. But it took a long time, and it was fun because having a scene like that be the start of our process, it really bonds the castmates, it bonds the crew, it bonds everybody together to know what we're getting ourselves into. But for me specifically, I'm bald. As I have a lot of hair, and they worked their magic. Honestly, the hair, the prosthetics, the hair makeup team, like everybody was in their A game. I mean, you have excellence all across the board in this project, but I was about 5 to 6 hours in the chair that first time.
Yeah.
And we had done camera tests. We had done so many head casts and trials and wardrobe. I mean, right before the first day, they added something to my wardrobe that was not a part of it before. And that was the night before. So everybody is truly looking for perfection, and they're, the detailing of all of it. But it was a really challenging project in the sense that I had to navigate my energy levels and wearing something that was truly so transformative for me as a performer. I've never had to do that kind of processing. And
Mm-hmm.
then dress on top of that, it's like an armor.
Were there not crazy nails too, or am I crazy? Yes.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
Star
Yeah. Yeah.
Trek theme.
No, there was, right?
Yes.
Like, because I remember there was like the hair and makeup, but there was like nails
There
too,
was
right?
nails, there was like everything. And this is like a little ode to Mel. We had our Toronto screening recently. So I did this to, kind of commemorate her. But yes, they really went from head to toe on this character. And it was such a beautiful transformation. I mean, it's such a gift when an artist really gets to become someone completely different from you. And then once you have everything on, it's amazing. I mean, I remember the first camera test, and I came out and the whole crew just kind of stopped short, and they just stared, and there was like silence
Yeah.
and then awe, because it is, I mean, all across the board, and every single character, even in the background performers, it is phenomenal. It is quite literally so extra, and that's the fun of it. You are so immersed in the world.
Absolutely. No, the sets and everything, it's just insane.
Yeah.
part A, B question. So it's like two questions in one a little bit. What was your favorite thing in regards to reading the script? What was your favorite element in regards to your character? And then what was your favorite thing in regards to the whole story and maybe Michelle or Omari's character specifically? Like, so your character specifically, and then in general with Section 31 specifically.
I love that Mel's power specifically were about not just distracting, but she used her beauty and her sensuality and her power in that way to get what she wants. And, you know, who doesn't dream of like mind control in a way? I got to use, I think, a lot of elements that make up who I am. I'm not saying I can read your mind, but there's something that was really
You have good instincts, so maybe you can read. You have good instincts, so maybe you can read minds.
Yeah, you're like, well, I don't know. I'm really. I was encouraged to bring my roots and my cultural ethnicity into it. I made Mel so Latina and so flowing and confident and sassy, and there was so much power in her that to me really jumped off even from reading the script. And then when we actually got to develop the character and add all the elements that make Mel now, I saw it from the beginning though, in the way that I wanted to play her and bring her to life. I'm just really excited that the team and Craig Sweeny, the writer, was really open to all of that. And he really encouraged me into leaning into that side of me. Fire that she has and that quiet confidence. And it's almost like this air of arrogance, but really she just knows exactly what she's doing. And then that's in the individual sense that each of the characters have their own power, but they need each other. That's what Section 31 is so unique. And it's such a great opportunity to explore a part of the universe of the Star Trek family that we have not yet seen. Each of us have our own individual storylines and background and everything that we can do, our power, but coming together is what creates Section 31. And we truly do rely on each other. I mean, kind of like the outskirts character would be Kacey Rohl's, you know, she's Starfleet. She's kind of there to keep an eye on us. And they're usually very much about decorum and following the rules. However, her joining Section 31, I think it's also a really fun moment for a Starfleet, like representing that character to kind of come into the dark side a little bit, to explore what it means to be bad or have those rebellious traits that you don't often get to act on because you're following all of the rules. Michelle, we're obviously trying to recruit into Section 31, but you look at characters that, you know, Omari and Rob and Sven and Sam, there's comedic timing. There's like exploring the emotions of anger and power. Like everyone is so unique. And, you know, when I love Sven's character, he plays Fuzz. I think it's a fan favorite. I think he's going to be so loved and he's so dynamic in this movie. He brings out accents and emotions and they're all done with such commitment. It really, really shines.
Well, that's a pretty cool segue to my next question because I'm talking as a whole, maybe not specifically with your stuff, but like from an acting storyteller perspective, like something like with Star Trek, right? We know that there's a lot of, you know, physical kind of scenes, right? And there's a lot of kind of battles and a lot of that, and it's sci-fi, right? But then there's the character-driven, more emotional kind of scenes and the mental kind of component of things. How do you balance those from an acting storyteller perspective, like preparation-wise specifically? Like, do they work together? Do you have some days where you're focusing more on the physical stuff than the emotional stuff? Like, I'm curious about that. My filmmaker brain, I guess, wants to know.
I mean, I was really delighted that I got to do stunts on this, and I'm not gonna lie, I had so many bruises, and that's where makeup comes in. I'm wearing like a very revealing dress in my extremities, and my fight scene required like me jumping over bars and kicking and punching and doing all of this. Those days I definitely separate when I'm training for the fight. But something I found in this set, and especially even with stunts, they really wanted to tell the story through movement as well. A fight isn't just a fight. It really isn't just physicality. I think they're actually very tethered because what are you fighting for, with, and whoever comes out on top, it really is a power struggle. And something you'll notice in every single fight scene in this film is that they are so emotional. You see it in the eyes, you see it in the expression, in the
I
pain,
saw it on
in
the
the
trailer, like
disappointment.
just what they put in the trailer.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly,
And you really
absolutely.
do feel it. And you have to question what it means to fight, because it actually means, you're standing up for something, either yourself or fighting against something. Those are emotional motivators. And this movie is very much that. It is motivated by so much emotion. But then there's this wall of like, power, sternness, confidence, cutthroat. I think it's a nice
Is
balance.
there an element that you like the most based on what you said? Because every time there's something that's like, genre bending, like Star Trek Section 31, in regards to like throwing a lot of things in there and
Yeah.
kind of being able to appeal to a wider audience, right? I'm sure there's one element that like you really kind of enjoy seeing kind of come to life on screen from script, or like is it a bunch of different things specifically?
Honestly, I love the sets so much. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that really infuses the story of like these kinds of conversations and fights can happen anywhere. So what
Yep.
makes it sci-fi?
Yep.
Yes, we're in space, but it really is this like higher than life air. Like I remember the first time I walked into the Baram, the bar, which is an iconic location in Star Trek, and it didn't feel like we were on a set. I really felt like I was there. It's the colors, and it's infused with so much ingenuity in what the future and space might look like, because obviously we've never for real existed in the Star Trek world, but there's so much talent and vision that goes into creating these like very, like they're just extravagant. There's
Yeah,
this
they're extravagant, they're
extravagant
dynamic,
nature.
they're big world,
Like
absolutely.
anything that you wear, say, see, smell, listen to is so quite literally out of this world, pun
Yeah,
intended. Uh,
literally. Oh my
there are so many
goodness.
moments that I'm like, oh yes, this is a
Space.
very emotional scene. But then you see, a weapon they're
Hmm.
holding or something they're eating or drinking, and suddenly you're taking into the, you're brought into the magic of this world.
Hmm.
So I think that, it really is magical.
You said in the beginning of the interview, that you are like I'm your like you're like the best guest of Popternative and my favorite guest, and I'm starting to lose track of how many times you've been on the show. But I think it's a fun little challenge now that every time you come on the show, I want to ask you something that we haven't really touched on in
Fair.
prior interviews, right?
Yes, because
So,
there must be.
but at one point it's going to be like 18 times. It's just going to be recycling, and it's going to be like we got to figure it out.
Yes.
But like the thing I noticed, what I wanted to ask you that we didn't really touch on past interviews, because the last time we talked was for Tarot, is you've worked on TV shows, you worked on movies, and you recently wrapped production on a series for Netflix and everything. And this is a film coming on Paramount Plus. It's all storytelling at the end of the day, and it's longer forms with a TV show because you have multiple episodes and your characters come and go. And then with a movie like this, you have an hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours to tell a story, and then it's done unless there's a sequel. Does your mindset change from working on TV versus film, regardless of the kind of length of the days and like the times on set? Like, I'm just wondering, because it is storytelling, but it is different in a lot of ways too, right?
Yes, I think it's like the vehicle that you're driving is different, but your driving doesn't change.
Yeah.
Imagine you getting into a race car versus driving a bus or
Oh my
driving
God,
a
that might be one of the
motorcycle.
greatest things. That was such a good example. Absolutely.
That's what I think of, right? If someone asks you, do you know how to drive? You'll say yes. They're not asking you what kind of vehicle they're having you drive, but you can trust that your skill set is there. You know how to shoulder check. You know how to stop at a stop sign. You know how to follow the speed limit or not. If we take risks here, I think that's the way I see acting. I, in my career, I am the driver, and I am being offered different rides in this career, and all of them are different, but I don't think I ever change where my skill comes from. And I think I always deepen it with every team, every project, every genre. And that's really exciting because I get to continue to challenge myself and explore different layers of what makes my driving so great.
That was a 20 out of 10 answer. That was like one of the greatest answers of all time. I might clip that as a
Yes.
reel. That was so good. Oh my goodness. Star Trek Section 31 is going to be exclusively on Paramount Plus, streaming January 24th. So I'm so excited for people to see it. Umberly, as always, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's always a
Thank
pleasure.
you so much. Yes. Live long and prosper.
Instagram account, it's just your name, right? Like as
Yes,
always.
at
Okay.
Umberly.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turn. I keep forgetting it's just Umberly. I keep
Isn't that amazing? I mean, I don't like I
keep
understand there's
forgetting
not a lot of Umberlys out there, but I'm like, I'd imagine at least like one somewhere. But no, it's pretty
now
amazing.
someone has to get like the Umberly because you have
The
Umberly.
Umberly. I
Or
know,
like,
which is
it's
also kind of
Umberly.
cool.
You just get them all.
Umberly.
You should just get them all just in case. So you want to?
Should I just like get the make a bunch of accounts? They're all me, guys. They're all me. So.
This has been Pop Turn at youtube.com/PopTurn for previous episodes. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram for more content and interviews like this as well. Till next time, this is PD Beats and Humberly Gonzalez. We can catch in Star Trek Section 31, streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus January 24th. And PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.